What's up, team? How's it going? I finally got some time to sit down and talk to you guys. I've done everything I need to do, as you may or may not know. Emma surprised me by taking me away for a couple of days. She's going to take me to Spain for a couple of days to relax and unwind, as she says. We need to unwind, which is pretty bad timing, but it's always bad timing, which is why she's done it. Thank you for taking us away. I'm just doing our Patreon update.
Oh, okay.
Need to unwind.
Holiday.
You're packing right now, aren't you? Do you want to tell the guys what you've done for the boys? Because we're not taking the kids. It's just me and you.
Yeah.
We're going on date night. Date couple of days.
Yay, it's like a belated honeymoon.
The kids get presents.
Yeah, because they feel tight and they'll be upset.
So what do they get?
I bought them both a spacesuit, like an astronaut suit, and a pop-up rocket ship.
That sounds well good, doesn't it?
And
I want to play with that.
I've written them a little note on the little... I've wrapped it up, put the rocket ship up in the living room, and I'm going to build the STEM lab so they can use it as ground control for launching the rocket.
I'm going to go to bed.
Why?
Because I want to go to sleep.
Well, I booked the taxi for 4 a.m.
Yeah, 4 a.m. taxi. I want to go to sleep. I'm tired.
Have you packed your bag?
Well, no, it's drying. It's in the dryer. Anyway, let me carry on with this, and we'll catch up later. But yeah, the boys are getting presents and everything. And also, how are you feeling after your surgery? Because people have been asking, obviously. Sore. Very sore. So, what a weird week it's been. Like, not only the month since I last had time to have a chat with everybody, but what a weird week it's been. So, firstly, Emma had surgery on her stomach and lower regions. So, like, belly button down. She had surgery in there to check out some lesions or something. Apparently, part of her colon stuck to part of her insides. It was, like, stuck to it. So every time she like stretched her stomach, as you know, she does triathlons and things. So it was like dragging her insides. But it got very painful for her. So they went inside to disconnect it. Pretty grim. And then she had complications, as you guys are probably aware, where the anesthesiologist gave her some sort of anesthetic that put her bladder to sleep for 3 days, so she couldn't piss. And that meant that they had to like pump it out. It was pretty horrible though, because I took the kids to see her. Max was fine. 1 second, I'm going to have to do a really husbandly type shout. Emma, can you close the door? Just left the door open so I could hear the TV. Emma's mother's here to look after the boys while we're away. It's not happening. I'm on it. I'm on it. Let's talk about rocket ships. So, she had to stay in hospital for 3 days. But Max was fine, but the youngest one did not like seeing his mum in hospital. And took it quite weirdly. But he got used to it by the end. We tried to make it fun and, you know, this is a wee tube and that's a bag of wee, and he kind of got over it. But yeah, that was pretty grim. So I had the boys. I was like a single dad type thing for a few days. And I had to go, I had to take the kids to school a lot. Now I've taken the kids to the school like sporadically, but the kids go to school as I'm streaming. And they also finish school before I finish work. So it's Emma usually who deals with the school runs. And then I do some of the after school activities, like when I finish work. So I had to do the whole thing. And the mums are really thirsty women. It's weird, guys. It's really weird. Some of them got overly friendly. And I was like, all right, go over there. Leave me alone. So I basically, because I hate playing on my phone. It really bugs me when I'm with friends and they play on their phones. So you might know, I mean, it's a bit of a joke, and Augers will back me up on this if he's watching this, I never answer my phone, like, ever. It's the worst form of communication to get hold of me. There are a million other ways of getting hold of me that are far easier and more accessible than my mobile phone. So people get really upset because a lot of people have like a one-to-one communication basis with their mobile phone, right? It's like the primary source of communication. For me, it's like fourth or fifth. So when people do call me and stuff and I don't answer, they get really frustrated with me. And I try and do better with it. I have a stand, actually. I have a stand on my desk now. You see it? There it is. I have a stand on my desk from Amazon, so it actually helps with me dealing with it. But I started like standing like this. It wasn't out of antisocialness. It was more like, I don't want any part of this. I don't want any part of this. But while all that was going on, I also got a World 50th in Mythic Unat, which was huge. It was the biggest world kill I've had since Cataclysm. And that was a weird experience as well. Because of Emma's surgery, I actually got benched again. Because I couldn't make the start of the raids for 1 week. So I was in for all of the progress for Mythic Una and was really enjoying it. Like, I knew I was going to like that boss from when I covered it for Method. And then this came, when it came to my turn to do it, I was benched for Restless Cabal because I wasn't there. I was banned. So I went through all... I've not had a good couple of races. I was obviously missed out on Battle for Dazzler Law for the most part because I was covering the Method thing, and that went screwed up in terms of being able to actually play. And then for for Crucible, I was banned, so I missed that as well. But they did want me in for Una. So I was in for Una, all of the progress, besides the week when Emma went into surgery, and I had to obviously deal with that. Take the boys swimming and do all that kind of stuff. So on that week when she had surgery, I was like an hour late for each raid. So somebody else stepped in. And during that period, they had a 2% wipe. So that then became the cemented team to kill the boss, because obviously those guys could kill the boss. And it was only a little stupid error that caused them to wipe. So I was out. And then luckily for me, a good friend of mine actually had an appointment that he couldn't miss. So he went for that, and Alex called me and was like, you're in tomorrow, by the way. And I was like, awesome, cool. And then we killed it in 30 minutes. No joke, we killed it in 3 pulls. As soon as I walked in, we killed it in 3 pulls. I instantly spammed doing that. So I got this high, it was world 47th, I think. So that's the highest kill I ever had. And then Classic Beta came out, which I know is the big topic for everybody. And I was blown away by how much I've enjoyed myself. And it's... You know what's been really strange for me, and I can't really eloquently put this into a YouTube video, like, at all, is every complaint I have about BFA and Legion is something that's been taken out of the game that exists in Classic, like, blatantly. Everything I've really complained about, from immersion to the idea of even gear stuff, every single element of stuff that I detest about the current retail, like pointless arbitrary grinds. I mean, most of you guys now have just joined in and calling most things you see in the game arbitrary currency, because that's what we are. We see them recycled over and over again, these arbitrary carrots to chase that just are meaningless, just whatever number Blizzard attaches to them to go and chase and to do content that they probably know we won't really enjoy. And then you go to Classic and it's just like, this is why I hate this stuff, because this isn't what was in the game when I fell in love with it. And I see that everywhere, not just in the looting and stuff like that. I see that in pretty much every element. And as I've discovered recently doing Normagon, I found a really interesting comparison I didn't dwell on. So during the TDP, which is coming out on Friday, because again, I'm going to be in Spain just for a few days, so just till Saturday, I think. So the videos are scheduled to go over. I've just finished the last one now. I realized the mega dungeon for... the new gnome place, Mechagon. The mega dungeon from Mechagon is nothing compared to Nomagon from 15 years ago. And I was like, shit, dude. Like, it's got more bosses, you know, it's a little shinier and things like that. But in terms of size, we're calling this a mega dungeon. This is the distinct difference. What we're calling in Mechagon is a mega dungeon. And then you look at what was just the original dungeons, like Nomagon, and you're like, this is a mega dungeon. But we just used to call that a dungeon. Like, that's what we used to call those things. That was just a dungeon. It wasn't mega dungeon or any nonsense affix that went with it. And it really has highlighted to me how much we've let go of in terms of our enjoyment of World of Warcraft, like the things I really enjoyed, and also been super surprised, I've pointed out, like by the things I really enjoyed, such as like bad quest drops. Like, you can see how beneficial it is to have bad quest drops, and how frustrated you were then, but how much more it added to the game by literally forcing you to be out in the world much more, rather than having, because on the face of it, and certainly from like a solo player standpoint, it's a far better system to have a good solid bunch of quests in like a reasonably spread area that you can go and complete very quickly, and then you get this huge turn-in cycle, which is what they brought in TBC. If you think about Hellfire Peninsula, you go and grab a bunch of quests, you go very close, you do all those quests there, you go back, you turn all those in, then you go to the next area, you do all those, you turn it back, you do, and you just do this little backwards and forwards. Whereas Classic is like, here's the quest for the whole zone. There's like 4 of them. Go to it. This is going to take you like all day. This is going to take you all day to do these like 4 quests. And have at it. And they just put you out of the world. You're barely ever in town, like ever at all, unless you're done, or you're doing like a little turn-in, which usually is like turning in 1 or 2 of the quests that you've done, and then it sends you out and doing something else. But the benefit of that is immediately noticeable, is that you're out in the world. You're out doing things. And And I see these guys, I see a lot of argument like, well, that's the same as World Quest, isn't it? It's like, well, no, it's not like World Quest at all, actually. Even with War Mode, because War Mode has become... Occasionally you will run into people outside in the open world with a War Mode, but not traditionally, but as we know, War Mode is basically camping flight points or camping certain quests that they know people will go to, and that's it. They just stand there and wait for people to arrive. It's not really the same thing that you'll... it's not the same as being out in South Shore or something like that, and you'll get a mess. Somebody will run by and say, there's a rogue nearby. I saw him about 10 minutes ago. That's a very different experience. It's a world of different experience to just being a clump of Alliance or a clump of Horde, and you kind of zone into them or you phase into them or something like that. It's a very different sort of situation. And also, you're not near safety, whereas there's barely a world quest you can think of in the game where you're not immediately near safety, either by the fact that you just need to get away in Flight Whistle, you just need to get away in Hearthstone. And similar with the same quests. So I had this argument with a lot of people because I was saying, it's nice that there's a lot of traveling. There is quite nice that there's a lot of traveling because you are out in this world and you're very much exploring every nook and cranny of the world and you're doing very slow, laborious quests. So in a very one-to-one basis, people go, well, you complain about that in BFA, Mike, because you're saying, you're traveling too much and the quests are really boring. Why is it good one way or the other? Aren't you being hypocritical? And it's like, no, you've got to think about it in the sense of... the different games that you're playing. They're totally different games. And the reason I really detest it saying Najatar, because it was a big thing that kicked up a lot of fuss, was you're spending more time traveling than actually doing anything. And a big reason why that's so tedious is because I'm traveling through a very safe area to begin with. I'm going as fast as I can to get to somewhere where I'm not going to do anything fun. Right? So it's I'm not playing the game to get to somewhere that I'm not going to find fun, to then travel to somewhere else very quickly. And the likelihood is, as you guys well know, once you arrive at your world quest, you're done really quickly. And it's very easy to do. It's just mindlessly AoE everything down. I mean, I'm sure many of you have been in scenarios where you literally just loot everything in one go. You can pull enough so you can just loot the clump and you get every quest item you want and you just move on to the next one. And it's very mindless and very boring. It's a hugely different experience where traveling itself is an adventure that's engaging and something you have to be aware of. So that's been an utter surprise to me as to how much Classic has really grabbed me by the balls, and I've wanted to play it so much more than anything else. And I'm hoping it doesn't wear off. But it might do. It might do. And then we'll get all the hypocrite backlash. Oh, you said it was really good. It's yeah, I was really enjoying it. So I'm hoping it doesn't wear off. I'm just hoping that they do go the good way of making it into BFA. On that note, we are going to bring the workshops to Patreon. I've mentioned this a few times, and I'm kind of ready to do that now. To find a time slot where I can do it for you. So I'm going to put an email up probably when I get back. I'll put it up on Sunday, the email for the workshop, so you can send them in. And they're just going to be for Patreon. So the Patreon's got a card that's saying you should make them public because they're beneficial to other people. But the fact of the matter is, I want some exclusive stuff for you guys. I always feel indebted to you because I'm loving how much you guys are enjoying the current YouTube content. You can see that in the views. People are really enjoying it, and that is provided by you guys. I don't earn anything for them, and the only reason I make them is for you guys. And I still want something special for you guys. So we might do is some delay or something like that, but primarily it's going to be a Patreon thing to put out there, and obviously give you guys prior on getting workshops done. Some other things I wanted to talk about then. So I'll put timestamps down below. But Avengers Endgame. So I did a 45-minute video on Endgame, and I should never say that because you're going to upload it. But the fact of the matter is, it was very waffly. But I did want to talk about Avengers Endgame with you guys. And the problem I had with Avengers Endgame is it's so huge. And I've ended up talking to a lot of different people about Endgame, and everyone has kind of a similar thought process about something they disliked or a few things they disliked. But overall, everyone really enjoys it. And I think that's a fair thing to say. It's overall, it's such a monolithic movie. It's 3 hours long. It's the culmination of 10 years. That there's guaranteed to be things you don't like, but overall, it was a solid end to the series. I think it was very, very solid. I think Infinity War is a better movie. My kids would not enjoy Endgame. My kids have watched Infinity War a whole bunch of times, an edited version that I do. But yeah, they've watched Infinity War. They love Infinity War. They love the big final battle in Wakanda. They love all the stuff that goes in. In the meantime, it had a very good pacing to it. Endgame is just so huge that it's impossible to please everybody with Endgame. It really is just so difficult to even potentially do that. Not an enviable task by any means. That doesn't mean I don't think they made mistakes with it, though. So my main point with Avengers Endgame is I think it's a really good movie, and I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed a vast majority of it. I thought it was a really good time. There's some really standout moments, of course, mainly involving Captain America. Not only wielding Mjolnir, I thought was very cool. I liked the way that they took what happened in Age of Ultron and kind of moved that forward. I thought that was really good. I really enjoyed that one scene of Captain America stood on his own against the entire armies of Thanos. Was so good. That moment was just fucking incredible. I really love the return of the old characters, Robert Redford coming back, the Ancient One coming back. I thought that was awesome. Awesome way to tie in, especially if they're going to time travel. The things I didn't like, there's a few things that I got a little tired with and got a little bored with, particularly because they were wrapping up like Tony Stark's story and Captain America's. I thought the actual time traveling mid-section of the movie just went on way too long. Like, I got the idea, and yes, I get that they had to like tick the list off of all these characters they were kind of saying goodbye to and waving goodbye to. But I got bored like while that was happening. I was fine with the time travel stuff, by the way. I thought they explained it just fine. That's not been a big deal for me. The things I really didn't like. Out of a movie that I overall really enjoyed. Okay, so let's be clear on this. I really enjoyed it. The things I really didn't like. Fat Thor. I liked Fat Thor for the first like 3 minutes it happened. I had a good laugh at it. I thought it was great. By the time we got to the last battle, I did not want Fat Thor there, and it also became completely unnecessary. Now I know from being a nerd that Chris Hemsworth hates the taking the shirt off and being like eye candy. He detests it. He really doesn't like it. So it makes some sort of sense after the cheekiness of Ragnarok that they went this route. I'm sure Taika Waititi was like all up for it. It just didn't work for me in terms of the actual movie. As a one-off gag, okay. The only bit they tried to tie it to that would make some sort of sense was seeing his mother again. They could have just made him an alcoholic, and it could have been a better thing to go with, rather than being the fat, because by the time it gets to the last epic battle, I wanted the Thor back. I didn't like Fat Thor running in against Thanos. I really didn't like that. I was like, I like the joke. I do. It made me laugh. It really did make me laugh. I'm way over it by this point, though. I'm way over it. I like that he's broken. It makes sense that he's broken. That's fine. The joke played itself out later on. Like the Big Lebowski type stuff that they were doing in the command center in Avengers City or whatever, Avengers Tower, whatever you want to call it. It could have just been a drunk. You know, that could have been more powerful with his mother, I think. I think that would have resonated better for me. I just wanted Thor back. Like, you think to Infinity War, I want that guy. When it comes to the last battle, I don't want funny fat Thor. I want that guy. I want that guy over there. And my same thoughts with the Hulk. Like, Professor Hulk, I know of it, but it comes across in the movie that basically Bruce Banner, like, has either banished or some way, like, mentally killed the Hulk, and he's gone. Instead of it being a symbiotic partnership, because it's just Bruce Banner with all the muscles. Like, he got 100% of the benefit of the situation. And as far as I can see, he's really happy with the outcome. I'm not sure the mental aspects of the Hulk, which we know. I mean, they talk to each other. There is a personality there for the Hulk, right? Like, it's shown in the movie. It's not like it's Bruce Banner just losing control. They communicate. They talk to each other. It just felt like that entire personality has been killed. What I would have thought would have been way cooler, in my opinion, way cooler, and something I wanted to see, is when they go back in time and, you know, he's like, Hulk, we need you to smash. He's like, oh, you know, it's just so, and he's like walking around smashing things. I would have preferred them to be able to go, this is your, you know, let's do it, buddy. And the real Hulk comes out. And that's what we've seen. He's like, yeah, you know what I mean? And then Bruce like goes, oh God, it's so, you know, it's so over the top, whatever. And then it's like, then the Hulk actually shows himself, almost like a Gollum style, like, but a friendly one where they're actually working together. And particularly at the end, where after Hulk does the snap, the reverse snap, whatever you want to call it, I would have much preferred like him letting the Hulk out. So they are in a symbiotic relationship because. I'll be honest, it's the same as Thor. I want to see the Hulk. I don't want to see Bruce Banner all the time. The good thing about the Hulk is sometimes it's Bruce Banner, sometimes it's fucking Hulk smash, right? And we haven't seen Hulk smash in a really long time. I know Dennis or Chiryu said when the last time we saw Hulk smash. I mean, we did see it in Ragnarok, but again, even then it's kind of goofy, but it was in Ragnarok. but it wasn't like Hulk smashing cities up. I mean, the last one was really Ultron, I guess. Yeah, with the battle with the big Hulk armor. That was the last time we really saw it. It's a long time ago. It's a really long time ago we actually saw the Hulk let loose and be Hulk. And not be just the goofy guy like in Ragnarok where he was trying to, no, Hulk, stop smashing, right? Stop smashing, don't smash. I would like them to have unleashed the Hulk in that last fight and let him go to it and show that there's a partnership between the two. Those were the two big things that screwed me over at the originals. And also, I think it's a fair shout. Black Widow's death was utterly fucking pointless. I knew she was dead as soon as... I mean, you're not going to show Clint Barton with his family and then have him die in the movie. Like, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. So as soon as they went to get the Soul Stone, I was like, oh, shit, she's dead. And it just had no fanfare. It had nothing to it. Like, she's one of the original OGs, right? And they're just like, oh, well. And Black Widow died, by the way. Let's have a funeral for Tony. It's like, oh, well, get over it. Basically, was the next scene. It was like, well, we've got to get over it and get on with something else. I mean, she's got a really interesting story. She was trying to run, basically, S.H.I.E.L.D. Or the Avengers across the universe. Like, that's what she was trying to do after the snap. So she's got a really interesting story. So we'll have to see in a standalone movie how they tackle that. That was pretty good. The other thing most people have asked me about, of course, is Game of Thrones. Me and Emma got into quite the routine of staying up. Not staying up. We would go to sleep and then set our alarms for 2 a.m., which is when it came on in the UK, to watch Game of Thrones. Episode... Whenever the Long Night episode is, the one where they finally reached Winterfell. A strong start to the series. A really strong start. I liked how the series set itself going. I was really into how they kind of tied up the loose ends and we were ready for characters to die. They did a good job at the start, and then what the fuck happened, man? What in the fuck happened there? So, no, I didn't enjoy it. I gave up at the Long Night. Like, once that episode finished, I was kind of done. And I said to Emma, I'm okay with people spoiling it for me now. So the reason I stayed up, I didn't stay up. The reason I set my alarm to wake up and watch it was because people would always ruin it for me the next day. Like, people would tweet me, send me messages on Discord, shit like that. Just like, you know, because it's a bit of fun. It's easy to get older preach. But after the Long Night, I was so fucking done because it just... Everybody... they showed them characters that dying. They were all dead. Everybody should have died. There was no reason that Jon Snow survived. There was no reason that Brienne and Jaime survived. There was no reason that Sam survived, rolling around on the floor, stabbing wildly at things. He should have died. And Jon should have died. The Night King should have killed him there and then. I was okay with Arya killing the Night King, but the jump out of nowhere, which they then literally show in the documentary afterwards. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but if you watch the documentary afterwards, they literally show it is a jump out of nowhere. Like, she comes from a spot that doesn't exist. Why? Why the fuck did you do that? Like, because everybody saw it. It's like, it makes no sense. There's a ton of other ways you could have done it. Because the battle itself was okay. Besides, I mean, you can't... I get why the Dothraki charged off, I do. But there's a lot of characters that should have died there. And would have been better dying there. God, I wish Varys had died there, protecting that young child. Rather than just fucking being like, by the way, treason. But after that episode where I was like, what a cop-out. I just felt that's how I felt. Like, because you're writing the scenarios that you're putting these characters in, right? So it's not a case to say Jon should have died there and there and there. It's like, don't put them in that scenario where they should obviously die if you're going to let them live, because it just makes no fucking sense. It just doesn't work on screen, because we can see they should die. And that's what we've come to expect. If the character ends up in a situation they should die, because that's the nature of the show. If you don't want them to be in that scenario, don't put them in that scenario. And then we had... just so many dumb moments after that just really let themselves down. And it's easy for me to see why D&D are getting so much hate for what they've done, because they just continuously made mistakes all the way through. I'm not talking about coffee cups and water bottles, but you can't have a scene where a fleet... I mean, I can buy that the fleet was hiding behind a mountain, which they are. So from the angle she was at, she couldn't quite see the fleet, and obviously she wasn't looking for one, despite already having her army trashed by the fleet, whatever. But the fucking sniper scorpion bows that go through the dragon, like, And then she flies away. And at the time, I'm thinking, oh, she's going to fly around and burn the fleet, right? I can kind of let some of this slide because she's obviously just going to blast them into smithereens now. No. And then we get a scene where the mast literally falls on Tyrion's face in the water. And then it immediately snaps, instantly, to them all just washing up on a beach and everything's fine and Missandei's been taken somehow. And you've just got to, like, put this together in your head. Oh, Missandei's gone. When? When did that happen? Why are we alive? Didn't a mast fall on me like 10 seconds ago? How did I swim to the shore? Because weren't we kind of far away from the beach? Why didn't they just come and kill us? Because we're all just in the sea and they're in ships. And you're just like, oh my God, this is getting on my fucking tits, man. Because it just makes no goddamn sense. And then the next episode, there's an entire mega fleet of ships with scorpions and buildings with scorpions on them, and none of them can hit one dragon. And you're like... And she does wipe out an entire fleet, and you're like, what the fuck is going on, dude? But I think the most egregious scene in the whole ending, because there's a lot wrong with the ending. There's a huge amount wrong with the last 4 episodes. But the most egregious moment for me, that really, like, highlighted just how much of a no more fucks these people gave about this show at this point. The writers, I mean. Is Jon Snow kills Daenerys, and then the next scene is, from what I can gather, weeks later... we've got to piece together with nothing in the middle. It literally cuts from that moment of Daenerys dying. Drogon apparently knows what an Iron Throne is for some fucking reason. I was like, oh, he's going to burn Jon, but Jon's going to not burn. I thought that would have been a cool moment if he would have burned Jon and Jon's still alive and Drogon like fucks off like, all right. But no, he decides to burn the throne. Why would a dragon give a fuck about a chair, dude? What? Anyway. It then cuts to literally weeks later where the Unsullied have apparently occupied the city. Jon Snow... We have to figure all this out. None of this is shown in the show. Jon Snow has not only been caught, probably confessed to killing Daenerys, been taken prisoner and not killed on the spot. Then they've sent messages to every lord in the country to come and have this meeting. They've done that. The meeting's actually gathered. And now we're going to listen to the prisoner decide that this fucking bellend, who only like a season ago said that he absolutely has there's no way he should be in power or anything else, and he's bigger than that, and he's something else. He's now like only here to be the king, and I'm just like, what the fuck happened here, dudes? What in the actual fuck happened here? And then you've got people like Varys. I was like, oh, I was so done. By episode 3, I'd give it up. It allowed me to enjoy the show more. Like, as I gave up after whatever the long night episode was, like I was like, okay, whatever. I've kind of just given up at this point because so much of this is dumb. It allowed me to enjoy the show a lot more from like an action, like a standard TV show point of view. But I'm with most of you guys probably is how disappointed I was in that show. Just so disappointed. Unbelievable. So those are the things I really wanted to talk about. So I'm going to love you and leave you guys. I'm back on Sunday when I'll come back with the workshop situation and get you guys started on that. Love you all, guys. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.